What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Gonna continue on working on the Jeep while the wife's gone. So I was looking at doing the battery. I'm still not sold on what I'm gonna do there. Some people recommended putting it underneath the center console, and I did do that in the green Jeep, but I'd like to keep it out underneath the hood. It's just tight. But while I was looking at that, I realized I probably better get to finishing up this radiator so I can get radiator hoses hooked up. And what I have to do, I'll show you, is I'm gonna cut this port off and cap that hole, and then I'm actually gonna use this port and put it down here to change the size, because this one's so big it won't work with any of the hoses that I have, but that side does. So we're gonna move that one down to here, and then I made a new one that goes there. Now you're probably looking at it thinking, well, isn't your coolant just gonna run from one to the other? Yes, it would, but it's called dual passing. I'm gonna dual pass this radiator, so I have to actually cut all the way through the tank at this line, all the way around. I have to slide a blocker plate in there to where fluid can't get through to that port, so it forces it through this top half, drops down, comes back through that half, and into the radiator, or into the engine again. So what I read online is LS engines, their water pumps can handle dual pass just fine. There has been problems with guys that try to dual pass with a small block Chevy. I don't know if there's any truth to that. It's just something that I had read. But everything I found pretty much says that LSs are fine to do this with, so I'm gonna give it a try. Gonna be kind of a goofy upper port. I needed to make it longer for the hose that I have, so it's actually going to sit like this. It's going to come down, the fan's clear over here. I've got lots of clearance on that, but that way I can avoid the air intake, and it'll work with the hose just fine. I'm going to put a dimple all the way around this, like these have, that little ridge, to help hold the hose on. And that's another trick that I'll show you. I actually learned that one from Boosted Lifestyle on YouTube. He does it with all of his turbocharged piping. He's got a pair of pliers that he cut the tip off of, and they work perfect for rolling that edge in there. So we're gonna try that one. But yeah, what I think I'll do, I'm gonna cut that one off, and then I'll cut this out, and maybe that piece will get welded back in over there. It's different shape, but there's enough material here that I should be able to make it fit. And then I'll cut this one off, which sucks. I already have cut this one off and re-welded it, but I'm gonna cut it off again and then stuff that one inside of it and weld it all up again. So that's our game plan for right now. Okay, that was less than fun. When I cut that slit, the brace was welded on there. I didn't think anything of it, but it's not welded across the bottom. I would have had a leak. So I had to cut that back off. Then I can get my piece in there and I can weld it on 3 sides now, since I can actually cut the rest of it through. That way it'll be the strongest and the best seal. So I'll get this bottom bit here cut. I want to get that piece ready to go, cut, fit, everything good, and then I'll fire up the welder and see if I can make some ugly looking welds. I'll guarantee you that I can. I'm really good at it. Okay, well, my piece is in there. I left it a little bit long. That way I got a little bit of material, a little melt down in on that. And then I'll have to do some good filler on each side. But yeah, it's gonna be really hard to see. I'm sure you can't see it all in there, but it blocks off. There's one more core on the top than the bottom. And my thought on that was, it comes in hot, so it's expanded. As it goes through, it cools, so it's contracted. And so more fins on the upper part. I don't know, probably doesn't make any difference at all, but that was my thought process on that. So I'll get the welder out, we'll start taking this thing up. All right, torch is getting really hot, but hey, I managed to do what I said. I made some ugly welds, but hopefully they're watertight. Got that one there. I'm not gonna weld the brace or the mount back on this side until after I have filled this thing with water and pressure tested, or hit it with air and pressure test. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but pressure test it somehow and make sure that it does hold water. Let that torch cool down. I got to get another stick of filler rod and work my way around this one, which that inside edge is going to be less than fun, but hopefully we can get it. I hate it when I do that. I welded that whole one on and forgot to turn the camera on. More ugly welds. And yeah, I think we're down to the point where I need to fill it with water and see if I get any seepage, and then if I don't, then I'll try and pressurize it and hit it with some soapy water. I just gotta figure out how to cap it off. All right, I welded the other mount back on, and and I have pressure tested. It seems to be not leaking. It'll probably wait until I have coolant in it and then develop a leak. You know, just because. What are we hitting? Just about past. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can get a bolt in each side. Okay, that one started there. I'm gonna get bolts started and then I gotta slide these rubber pads in between everything. That's good news. I welded it back on and the bolts still fit. Didn't grow or shrink on me, so that's good. Yeah. All right, welcome back. Of course, the battery died right there, so I went ahead. You guys have seen people put bolts in before. Got the bolts back in, got the radiator in. Kind of looking at it, and yeah, should be able to make that hose fit easy enough. And then this one up here, it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle. I made it a little bit long, which I can always cut it back down. But I need to put that lip on there still. But at least now I can hook my hoses up and we'll be able to cool this thing. If you like what we're doing, you know the drill. Smash the like button. If you're not subscribed, please do. I would really like to get to 1,000 subs. I'm only at like 126, and so I've got a long way to go, and every little bit helps. So if you would do me that favor, that would be great. Thank you.